A few years ago, my life took a turn I never saw coming. My beloved Aunt Clara passed away, leaving me her charming but weathered craftsman home in a quiet suburb of Columbus, Ohio. I was stunned she and I were close, but I never expected to inherit her house. Determined to honor her memory, I moved in and poured my heart into fixing it up. New siding, a sturdy cedar fence, fresh paint inside, and out it became a labor of love. By the time I was done, the place gleamed like a jewel on our street. But that's when the trouble started, and it came from the last place I expected, my neighbor, Evelyn. Evelyn lived across the street in a tidy split-level home. I'd barely spoken to her since moving in. When I'd wave or say hello, she'd turn away, her lips pursed like she'd tasted something sour. I chalked it up to her being standoffish. Maybe she and Aunt Clara had some old feud over a garden hedge or a borrowed lawnmower. Small towns breed small grudges, right? I figured I'd just keep my distance and live my life. Oh, how wrong I was. One crisp fall afternoon, Evelyn marched up my driveway, her heels clicking with purpose. I was raking leaves, the air thick with the scent of burning firewood from somewhere down the block. She stopped, hands on hips, and said, "So, when are you handing over the house?" I froze, rake in hand, certain I'd misheard. "Excuse me," I said, half laughing, thinking it was some awkward joke about how nice the house looked now. Her face turned beet red, and she snapped, "Don't play dumb. I deserve this house, and you know it." Before I could respond, she stormed off, leaving me standing there, dumbfounded. I shook it off and went inside, but the encounter gnawed at me. Later that day, I checked my mailbox and found a stack of letters from real estate agents' offers to buy the house, all insultingly low. One mentioned representing a client with a strong interest. A chill ran down my spine. I had a sinking feeling Evelyn was behind this. Why else would she think I'd just give her my home? It was absurd, but the more I thought about it, the more it felt like she'd been plotting this for a while. The next week, whispers started circulating in the neighborhood. I'd catch neighbors glancing at me during my evening walks, their eyes curious, almost suspicious. At the local diner, I overheard snippets of gossip. Evelyn was telling everyone that Aunt Clara had been her best friend for decades and had promised her the house before she died. According to Evelyn, I was just a caretaker, fixing it up for her to take over. The audacity floored me. Aunt Clara couldn't stand Evelyn. I remembered her complaining about Evelyn's nosy complaints, everything from Clara's rose bushes being too wild to her dog barking once at midnight. They'd had shouting matches on the front lawn, with Evelyn always the one raising her voice. I confronted a few neighbors I trusted, like old Mr. Thompson, who'd lived next door to Clara for 30 years. He confirmed my suspicions. Evelyn had been obsessed with Clara's property for ages, always commenting on its potential and how she'd do it justice. Some thought she wanted to flip it for profit. Others said she planned to rent it out. Either way, her lies were unraveling. Nobody believed her story about being Clara's friend, but she wasn't giving up. Then came the vandalism. One morning, I woke to find my new cedar fence in ruins. 2 sections were smashed, and the rest was splattered with ugly gray paint. I was livid. That fence had cost me thousands, and I'd spent weeks staining it to perfection. Neighbors told me they'd seen a pickup truck idling near my house the night before, but no one could prove it was Evelyn. Still, I knew. A few days later, more real estate letters arrived, citing visible damage to the property and offering even lower prices. The nerve of it all made my blood boil. Did she think I'd sell because of her tantrum? Furious, I marched to Evelyn's house and pounded on her door. It took her 10 minutes to answer, and when she did, she had the gall to say, "Ready to sign over the deed yet?" My jaw dropped. I couldn't hold back. "What's wrong with you?" I demanded. "Were you never told no as a kid? Is that why you act like this?" Her eyes narrowed, and she scoffed. Of course I wasn't told no. I got what I wanted. I was speechless. It was like a puzzle piece clicking into place. This wasn't just entitlement. This was a woman who'd never learned to hear no and thought the world owed her everything. She slammed the door in my face, but I was done playing nice. That night, I found a letter in my mailbox that pushed me over the edge. It was from a supposed estate lawyer, claiming Clara's will had a lost clause bequeathing the house to Evelyn. My heart raced for a moment. Could this be real? But then I noticed the letterhead was crooked, the language stilted. I called the law firm listed, and they had no record of it. Evelyn had forged the whole thing, probably thinking I'd panic and hand over the deed without checking. It was the final straw. I went full scorched earth. I scanned the fake letter and posted it on our neighborhood's Facebook group, laying out Evelyn's lies, the vandalism, and her bizarre demands. I shared it at the community center, showed it to anyone who'd listen. The response was swift and overwhelming. Neighbors flooded the post with their own stories about Evelyn, her bullying, her petty complaints, her sense of superiority. One woman said Evelyn had tried to claim her late husband's vintage car, insisting it was promised to her. Another recalled Evelyn demanding a neighbor's heirloom rose bushes because they matched her garden better. It was validating, but also chilling, to see how far her entitlement stretched. Evelyn tried to fight back, crying to anyone who'd listen that I was slandering her. But the evidence was ironclad, and nobody bought her act. She became a pariah, her once manicured lawn now a lonely island no one visited. The law firm she'd impersonated sent her a cease and desist letter, and I heard rumors of a fraud investigation, though I didn't follow up. I just wanted peace. In the end, Evelyn's schemes backfired spectacularly. Not only did she fail to get my house, but she also lost the respect of the entire neighborhood. A few weeks later, some neighbors offered to help me rebuild the fence. We spent a weekend hammering boards and sharing beers, turning a sour situation into something sweet. That repair party became a monthly barbecue, a tradition that's still going strong. Strangely, Evelyn's chaos brought us closer together. Looking back, I'm struck by how one person's unchecked entitlement can ripple through a community. Evelyn's actions weren't just about a house, they were about power, control, and a refusal to accept boundaries. But they also showed me the strength of standing firm and the power of a community that calls out injustice. I kept Aunt Clara's house, and it's now a home filled with new memories, laughter, and the smell of barbecue smoke wafting through the yard. What do you think about this story? Have you ever dealt with someone like Evelyn, whose sense of entitlement led to conflict or even violence? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear where you stand on handling injustice in everyday life. Let's get the conversation going.